today's rally, when I did the Facebook notice promoting the rally, I called it the Free Speech is the Counterweight rally. That comes from a social media post from Brendan Carr on December 30, 2023, when he was a member of the Federal Communications Commission. Mr. Carr in December of 2023 said, quote, "Free speech is the counterweight. It is the check on government control. That is why censorship is the authoritarian's dream," end quote. I agree with every word he wrote. Free speech is one of the essential human rights guaranteed to all Americans in the First Amendment to our Constitution. The First Amendment says, quote, "Congress shall make no law prohibiting the freedom of speech," end quote. This protection also protects our speech from interference by the president or the executive branch and our state and local governments. Citizens have the right to speak their minds no matter how different those minds may be. When we meet here each week and speak about whatever we speak about, even whether we agree with 4% or 94% of what a particular speaker says, when we do this, we are joyously exercising our right to free speech. Free speech is the second of the rights secured by the First Amendment. The first one mentioned is religion. It's described in two ways, quote, in the First Amendment, quote, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof," end quote. The Establishment Clause says the government can't tell you what religion you have to follow. The Free Exercise Clause says the government can't tell you how to worship or limit the way you worship. Although the Free Speech Clause isn't stated in this same way with the two opposing ideas, the judicial decision since this became the law made clear that this two-part approach applies not just to religion but to speech. The government can neither tell you what you must think or say, nor can it tell you that you must not say or think certain things. In essence, you could restate this part of the First Amendment by saying, "Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of thought or speech or prohibiting the free exercise thereof." And this is where I apologize to you that I got to apologize to Bob. I'm putting on my old UConn adjunct law professor hat, which I did for 2 years, and I'm going to bore you with more First Amendment stuff. Of course, like all rights, there are limitations. The speech and limits on speech must be reasonable, just as free exercise of religion must be balanced against the rights of others. So if you're on trial for murder and your defense is, "Hey, my religion tells me that I must kill the people working at Dunkin' Donuts on Sunday," see Exodus 35:2. "Whoever does work on the Sabbath day must be put to death." Well, sorry, strict Bible interpreter, but you're going to jail. Similarly, our laws contain numerous exceptions to our freedom of speech. Obviously, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. You can't commit fraud on a loan application. You can't lie on your taxes. You can't lie to a judge or a jury, etc. The keys to reasonable restrictions on speech are the intent of the speaker and the effect on the hearer. Did I intend to lie when I said that? Did I intend to incite violence? Did I expect my lie or my fighting words to motivate the listener to do something? For example, if I am all alone in the woods and I yell, "Kill that guy," or I'm all alone in the woods and I raise my hand and swear that I made no money last year, there are no consequences. But if I yell, "Kill that guy," in a crowded sports bar, or I swear to the IRS that I made no money last year, there are consequences. So free speech has reasonable limits. But remember, these rules only apply to government policing of speech, not private or commercial policing of speech. If my speech today turns you off or makes you think I'm a jerk, you are free to walk away, to boo me, to hiss, to tell everyone, "Don't bother going to the rallies to listen to that old bald love your neighbor guy." You can censor me, that's okay. And if you walk into your boss's office on Monday and say, hey boss, you're just as much of an idiot as that old bald love your neighbor guy, you're probably going to lose your job. There are times when there's a wisdom in self-censoring. So the First Amendment addresses limits on the government's ability to limit your free speech. And what is reasonable, what the reasonable limitations are, may shift over time. But one thing that does not change since the founding of this country 249 and a half years ago is the underlying principle that the government may not limit free speech if the limit is censorship of speech against the government, not speech against someone else. So I opened with the quote from the FCC commissioner in December of 2023. Free speech is the counterweight. It is the check on government control. That is why censorship is the authoritarian's dream. Well, that FCC commissioner is now the chairman of the FCC. And he's the one who responded to Jimmy Kimmel's regrettable monologue by threatening ABC that the FCC can do this the hard way or the easy way, leading to Kimmel's week-long suspension. Censorship is the authoritarian's dream. Free speech is the counterweight. Yes, it's easy to point fingers at both parties for hypocrisy over procedure. Each time a government shutdown is in the news, you can find quotes from both sides arguing about process and compromise and the filibuster in exactly the opposite ways they spoke when the other party was in power. But hypocrisy about fundamental rights is more significant. And one of the most significant challenges to our American system of laws and guiding principles is the current assaults on free speech. An assault led in the open, loudly and proudly, with all the power he can muster and then some, by the President of the United States, who makes clear with a new initiative or speech every few days that he wants to control what we do and say, and that he'll put the power of the government to work to control what we do and say. When the leader of the country says that negative press coverage of him is, quote, illegal, no longer free speech, end quote, that to criticize him or his policies or his followers is illegal and must be punished, that is as dangerous to our Constitution and to our nation and to our communities as anything we've ever faced in our lifetime. So we must have the courage to continue to stand up and to speak up and to speak truth to power. As Bobby O said, to push back. Even when that power says, you're going to get it for doing that. We must say no, not me, not here. And please join me in saying no. I don't have to literally join me right now. But we need to keep doing this. We need to keep standing up and saying no to what is wrong and saying yes to what is right. So thank you.